joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. Glad to have you back. It occurred to me that I should probably explain to many folks what that means, because clearly we're not on the porch. We're in the kitchen most of the time doing one thing or another, and when not, we're in the garden. And the truth is, I don't really have a back porch. It's a virtual porch. Several years ago, I was asked to start an organic gardening group on Facebook, and for a small group of people who wanted a place where we could talk about the work we do in gardening and trying to live a more simple and frugal life. We didn't call it homesteading. A lot of people call it homesteading. But that little group grew, and then there was another group, and then there was another group, and now there are 5 groups. And the name Debbie's Back Porch came from my time as a child with my grandmother, because when I was a kid, the front porch was for visiting on Sunday or after dinner when the work was done, and the back porch was where you worked. You did laundry, you did canning, you did drying, you did seeds, you did some of your cooking. So we worked on the back porch, and I have memories of a community of people coming together on the back porch to work and to put up the food that was necessary for people to live healthy and eat healthy. So I took that for the name of the gardening group, and it has spread now to a safe canning group, a cooking from scratch group, a crafts group, and a seed saving group. We recently moved these groups from secret to open for folks to join, and I wanted to make you aware of them, and I will post the links to join these groups. If you're looking for places where people are treated respectfully, conversation is civil, the growing is organic, the canning is safe, and the food is from scratch, then you want to join us on our groups. The videos that I post on YouTube started out as a project where I was bringing tutorials to the groups, and other members were bringing tutorials to the group, because we think nothing is more important than making sure that what you use to nurture yourself and your family is organic, safe, and cooked from scratch. So that's why I do these videos. I thought I should explain it to you, and I really hope that you choose to join our groups. Tonight I'm going to make a soup, and it's an adaptation of other soups. I can't say that it's anything original, only that I have brought to it what Fred and I like. I'm going to make a big pot of soup because this is a soup that freezes well, and on our busy days we like to have something that you can just heat up really quickly for lunch. So when I make this soup, I make enough to freeze a good bit, and I don't make it very often, except that I make it in the winter and the fall, and boy, we have a nip in the air. So we're going to get started. This is a hearty sausage potato soup, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. Well, I have browning in my Lodge enameled Dutch oven, which I use a lot. About a quarter pound of sausage. This is just regular sausage, not particularly hot. And let me talk about the different options for sausage. I generally put 2 kinds of sausage in this soup. I brown it first. I'm using today regular bulk sausage, but I leave some little chunks because we like the little chunks in it, and it gives the soup a lot of body. And I'm also going to put in about 2 ounces of sliced bratwurst or smoked sausage, whatever you like. I highly recommend, when you have it, to use an Italian sausage. I just don't have it right now, but when I do have it, I start with an Italian sausage because that flavor profile is really, really good. And I want to get this up sizzling a little bit. But I think I'm going to go ahead and put my smoked sausage in and let it sizzle too. I often talk about the carbs that's in food because I'm carb conscious. It doesn't mean I don't eat any carbs, but I'm very conscious of it. And I generally don't eat potatoes, and this is a potato soup. But one of the things about this soup is that the rest of the stuff in the soup is so good that you don't miss going easy on the potatoes. It's not just potato soup. It does have the flavor of potatoes in it, but I can get myself a nice bowl of soup with one or two little tiny pieces of potatoes. So while it's not a low-carb recipe, it can be eaten low-carb because everything else that's in it besides the potatoes is very low-carb. Okay, we're getting a little sizzle. I chopped up one medium-sized onion. I always chop things fairly finely, and this is a soup, so I want the flavor all through it. It doesn't have to sizzle long because you are going to have not a long cook time, but some cook time after you have everything together. And the onions will cook more, but you always, or I always like to have a little browning happening with the onions and a little bit of the flavor release. So I put them in early, and I put them in before liquid to let that happen. I won't go into it very deeply, but I will mention something, and you may look further. The Maillard effect. I may not even be saying it right. It may be the Maillard, but I think it's the Maillard effect. And that's the effect that browning has on the flavor and the texture of food. And that's influenced by a lot of things. Liquid being the major thing. That's why you brown your pot roast before you put it into braise. And the moisture on the surface of foods impacts that, and it's one of the reasons that I salt beef before braising, and most people salt beef before braising because it dries up some of the moisture on the surface so that you have more of a Maillard effect. That's enough of that. You can look it up if you're interested in that. But it's the reason that I always, unless the recipe specifically calls for it differently, it's the reason I always brown my onions before I add the liquid, even when I'm not making a mirepoix. Okay, so that's nice and brown. You can smell it. We're going to put some spices in now. The spice profile for this, for us, is cumin, and I'm just going to shake some on, but it's going to end up being about a quarter teaspoonful. A little bit of red pepper flakes, also about a quarter teaspoonful. And some fresh rosemary. Just a couple sprigs. You can chop this up first if you like. We're going to have, as I said, a little bit of an extended cooking time, so this will, the flavor will spread. Have I said before I love rosemary? I think I have. Okay, See, now all this is pretty quick. And oh, you can smell the rosemary. Now I'm going to add the potatoes, and I have them in water here, so I'm going to do it very carefully because I don't want them to turn brown. And sometimes they do if you don't keep them covered in water. Or a little citric acid in the water if you want to do that. This is 4 medium-sized potatoes. I would say it's about 2 cups. And yes, I'm putting in the potatoes before I put in the broth. I am going to put in the broth. If you have large potatoes, 2 or 3 is enough. This was 4. You might call them medium. They were a little on the small side for medium. Okay. We have 2 kinds of sausage of your choice. This is bulk breakfast sausage and smoked sausage. You can use Italian sausage. Whatever you want. About a half a cup of meat. We have a little cumin, a little rosemary, a little red pepper flakes. We have 1 medium onion chopped. We have 4 medium potatoes chopped. We have about a cup here of finely sliced or chopped, whichever you prefer, cabbage. And at this point, you want to salt and pepper to taste. I have red pepper in it. I'm not going to add black pepper, but you certainly can. And now remember, we're going to add broth, and the broth has, if your broth has salt, go easy on this salt. Okay, I hope you can see that. I'm going to let it sizzle a minute. You know, it's hard for me to tell you how long to let it sizzle. I let it sizzle until I start seeing a little bit of browning on everything. But the thing that I can't share with you is I let it sizzle till it smells right. Until I can smell that mixture of flavors. And now, broth. I have here some of my home canned bone broth. I have ham broth. You can use chicken broth. You can use beef broth. Chicken broth is the more normal, but I like the ham flavor with potatoes, and I'm going to add a quart. Okay, now we have all but one ingredient in here, and it gets added at the end. I'm going to leave you. I'm going to let this come to a simmer and simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes or until the potatoes are soft. And then we'll come back and finish up this wonderful soup. And I have a clean spoon. I have to taste it to see if we have everything we need. Yes, I think we do. Plenty of salt, plenty of flavor, good yummy veggies. Be back in about 20 minutes. It's been about 20 minutes. Let's see what we have. Now that time frame was to allow the potatoes to get done. If you need to cook it a little bit longer, you can. And they are done. So we have 2 more things to put in here, and I remembered something while the soup was simmering that I forgot on the ingredient list that I will add when I have it ready for you. I forgot the garlic. Yes, I always forget something. I really should write this stuff down. I put about a teaspoonful of minced garlic if you use fresh. About 2 cloves should do it. Here are the last of the ingredients. This is half and half. You can use heavy cream. You can use just milk if you prefer. Heavy cream makes a wonderful rich soup. Half and half seems to be just fine. And I have found over the years that the mixture of broth and cream is pretty hard to resist. And one ingredient that is always welcome in anything and is never wrong and always makes everything better: bacon. I have 3 slices of crisply fried bacon here, and I'm going to put it right on the top. I suppose it would be good without the bacon, but why would you do that? Whoops, I'm splashing. Okay, all we're going to do at this point is wait for the milk, the cream, half and half, to heat all the way through. So we're going to just wait as we clean up our mess for everything to come back to a simmer, and we'll be ready to serve. Well, we are ready to go. I'm excited. I'm hungry. We're a little later than normal for dinner. And I'm going to serve this up. Fred has some nice Italian bread. He's going to make some garlic toast to go with this. I don't need a thing. Let me make sure I get a little bacon. This is hearty potato, sausage, cabbage, onion, kale, cabbage, whatever you like, but I call it hearty potato sausage soup. Thank you for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. Please come back tomorrow. We'll be doing something good.